This is That One Audition with Alicia Oxy.
Who are you buddies with?
Matt Medrano, Meta Golding also as well.
He's great.
I've worked with Minka a handful of times. Yes, you've got all the peoples.
Yeah, it was such a great cast. And I mean, yeah, Mink is probably the sweetest person that I've ever met in my entire life. It's almost jarring how someone can be so sweet.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, let's go. Because there's not much that you can scour off the intranets about you other than when you first started working. But was this always the job? Like, was this always the goal? Where are you coming from? What part of the lens?
Yeah. So I'm from Chicago, and yeah, acting was not always part of the plan. I went to college and had no idea what I wanted to do. And I remember like walking around campus, and I'd gotten sober when I was 17. Like I was in rehab when I was 17, got to college. And so I was in this weird kind of place where like everyone's kind of partying, doing like seeming to be having like the most fun ever. And I was like, I'm not having any fun. And I'm going to these classes, and I was thinking about like, maybe I'll go into like be a counselor or whatever. Like I ended up for a while, I was like a peer counselor at my rehab that I was at when I was a teenager. And yeah, I hated everything that I did. I hated every job I had ever had. I wrote down on a list because when I've talked to people about like, on the cast about like all the jobs I've had like 25 different jobs over the course of my life since I was 15. And
What are some highlights? I need some highlights. They might really help with the job later. Was one of them an airplane pilot? Because
no, that was not
Okay.
that one came later. No, I mean everything from working in pumpkin
Working with
patches, grocery stores, Uber, bouncer, bartender. I did debt collection, like
Oh, that sounds like fun.
was awful. All of it is
Debt collectors, like you physically had to go and
no.
collect.
I was calling people just saying like, hey, like here's like what it is. Do you want to set up a payment plan? And no one is happy to hear from you. Like you're the last call that anyone ever wants. And yeah, so I mean, I was also not great at any of these jobs, which I think is just like because I hated them, you know. So my MO was always like be charming and nice enough not to get fired, but like play dumb enough that no one wanted to give me any responsibilities. The only job I ever really enjoyed outside of acting was bouncing. Because I, even as a sober guy, I was like, I like to be at the party and I like the atmosphere. But like, I'm not gonna like go and like dance and stuff. So I just got to like hang out, and then I was getting paid to do that. And so I was good at that. I liked that
And
one.
then nobody's trying to force you to drink, especially if you're sober in that environment. Like,
It's perfect.
that's a little mind bendy that I had to think about for a second. Smart. I
Yeah,
can
no,
still be
exactly.
at the party. Nobody's forcing me.
Totally. And I don't recommend it to like someone
No.
who's like early sobriety or whatever, but no, it because I do have that social thing where like I get a lot of energy from being around people, but yeah, and then you don't have to talk too, you know? Like have you ever just wanted to like go to a
Yes.
bar and you can just like watch people and then but
You're
like
being paid to people watch and nobody can yell at you because you're the bouncer. Like, it's the best.
yeah.
Going out to a club, I used to bartend and sitting back and just watching people engage with each other, try to communicate with each other,
Yeah.
not communicate with each other. So
Yeah.
this is where your studying happened. Okay.
100%. It's a great character study because you're seeing like you throughout the night you like see like a guy who is like maybe a little bit too drunk and he's just striking out over and over and you're like, "Oh my God, like what?" And so like yeah, you can
Recognizing a pattern. You're like,
yes.
what's the turn here? Is he gonna
Yeah.
go down? Is he gonna get
Uh-huh.
slapped?
Yeah, so
Huh?
you can get really philosophical about it and it was just yeah, so I really enjoyed that, but yeah, I remember I was walking around freshman year and I'm like, all right, I've heard people say that if you do what you love, never work a day in your life. And I'm like, well, I would love to know what I want to do. And the only thing that I really loved was, film. And so I'm like, all right, it had never crossed my mind that I could act or be an actor or anything. But I was like, I guess I should try. And so I took like an elective course at my school. And right away I was like, oh shit, this is it. Like, this is the only thing I want to do. And then started training at Second City, did like all the acting classes that my school offered, and I really wanted to drop out, but my parents were like, "No, if you finish, then we'll support you like doing this, but you can't drop out yet." Which I'm glad that I stuck around and finished. But yeah, and then booked a couple jobs in Chicago.
That's what I was gonna say. So for the audience, you get Empire, Chicago PD. Is Solve also in Chicago?
Solve, no, that was like a Snapchat LA
That's what I
thing.
was like. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
trying to figure out. I was like, is that when he comes to LA? Okay, I'm
that
just
was.
gonna cut then right to the chase because every actor starts and you're like, okay, I'm getting the validation of the guest star, the co-star. I'm starting to work. I'm getting on set, realizing that's what's happening. I'm gonna just jump to because it's also during a self tape. Let's just go right to you getting the Top Gun audition because that's what everybody's going to listen to right now. All of my audience is being like, hold on, come again. You have like a handful of guest TV appearances, and now you're in like the biggest movie ever. So I want to know start to finish how that audition comes in. Is it coming in to Chicago agent, or at this point have you branched to LA?
At this point, yeah, I'm in LA, and I had been here for like about 9 months, and like the move to LA is rough. Like I always warn people, I'm
Well,
like,
and did you move during COVID? Because Top Gun,
no,
this was
no, I was,
shot prior or during
yeah,
COVID, right?
we shot Top Gun 2018 and 2019,
And
and
then
then
they held it
they
because of
held it.
COVID.
Yeah.
That's
So this was like like mid 2018 that I get the audition. And at that point too, and I'm sure that you've had this a million times where like you've now at this point I've probably had like, I don't know, maybe like 100 auditions like under my belt. And you get some really big auditions every once in a while, and you kind of get sort of in this groove where you're like, okay, like I'm not gonna like bet my life that I'm going to get this thing or whatever. And I think that's a great way to sort of preserve your sanity as an actor. Because if you start being like, I'm going to move, like I'm going to Budapest for like
of
6 days,
course.
like
Of
you're
course.
going
Yeah,
to
I
be
need to
fucked.
figure out what to do with my apartment. They're already in
Yes. Yeah.
results. You're done.
So no, I got the initial audition. It was all in person. It was back when things were still in person a lot.
And had you seen Denise before this? Because that's a huge
No.
casting director. So that's a huge get just as an actor to be like, I'm going
Right.
into Denise's
And luckily I had
audition.
no idea.
Oh, you
I was
didn't
like,
know who she was? That's
no, and so I
probably
was just like,
helpful.
all right, like whatever, yeah. And went in, first one went great, and then got a call back. I was like, all right, cool. Did the call back, and then I think the next one was a director session. And at this point, I'm like, oh shit, like, all right, like maybe this could actually be a possibility. But I still wasn't like really like tripping out about it.
And how are the sides for this character? Like, is it a lot of material or is it more relationship based? A couple of scenes, like, where are you standing with? Because
Yeah.
what ends up on the screen versus what we audition with is also sometimes so drastically
Totally.
different.
Yeah. And so I knew it was going to be a small part. And so I think it was probably like 2 pages total, maybe three. Like one's like a bar scene, very much like the first Top Gun, like walking
Yeah.
in, you're like kind of like you're like saying hi to buddies and stuff. And then the second one, you're in the like you're in an F-18 and you're arguing with your co-pilot. And so I
How
remember.
did you approach this? Because also for not even a remake, but just anything that has a franchise, like you can go and watch any of these movies and then play at something. So
Yeah.
if you're willing to go there, either this one or another one, I'm like, how are you working at this point? Are you in a class? Like, are you going off instinct?
This at this point, I don't think I wasn't in class at this point, which is stupid. And I want to talk about that later because I got like this weird ego thing when I moved to LA where I was like, I don't need to be in class, man. Like I'm just like I want to be like natural, and it's just such bullshit and it's such a lie. And it was like me just being like insecure that I didn't want to go like do these things, and then also but I was holding myself back. So like I got really lucky on Top Gun, and like you get
Thank
lucky
you for
a
being honest.
lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I look, when it's your part, it's your part. I really truly believe that.
100%. Yes. And that's with like Ransom too. That's the first time that I've been like, this was it. This was really meant to be. But yeah, no, I remember I also didn't know who the director was, Joseph Kosinski, who's like he's done like incredible stuff. And
Yeah.
so I was luckily just like ignorantly blissful going into it. And I remember walking out of the audition and it was the first time I was ever like, I fucking got that. Like I know I got that. But then what happens is like, this happens all the time where months can go by before you hear anything. So I remember like on vacation, like I was gone for like maybe like a month and a half and I kept checking in with my manager and he's like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "Look, I'm not sending you auditions right now because like I kind of have a feeling and I've been checking with the office, but like we don't know." Then I got a
But
call.
had they pinned you at that point or anything?
I
Because
think
it
I
was just a 3 rounds of auditions and you guys were
yeah,
being hopeful.
I think I don't remember if there was a getting pinned sort of notification, but then I remember I got a call and it was my manager and he was like, "So I just got told that Tom's watching your tape." And I was like, "Tom
The,
who?" And he's like, "Tom Cruise." And I'm like, "Tom Cruise is watching my fucking tape." So that was like really surreal. And then I think like another 2 weeks go by and I really this was very sweet the way that my manager did this to let me know. He's like, "Hey," he's like, "I'm gonna swing by your apartment. There's like an NDA thing that I need you to sign." He's like, "It's just, to make sure that like even at this point in the casting process, he spun this story where it was like, like, I just need you to do this thing." So like I go outside and he's like, "There's no NDA." He's like, "You got it."
he just wanted to be face to face.
Yeah, yeah. And it was like, and I remember like the sunset and everything, and it was like a very like I didn't I couldn't like react or move. And so like this was yeah, it was a huge, huge thing. And just like it felt it was one of those sort of magic Hollywood type moments. Um,
Let's just also call a spade a spade. Like for you to show up in LA and then this is the project you land. If I was your manager, I would also show up on your doorstep and be like, we did this. Because how long had you been working with this manager? Is this somebody you worked with in Chicago? Is it somebody you just found when you got to LA?
He found me. He's based in LA and he found me in Chicago. I had auditioned for something. His wife's a casting director. I'd auditioned for her for like a mermaid film. And I was like, they were like, "Hey, we're gonna be in Chicago. Do you want to like have like a meeting with us?" And I'm like, "Yeah, totally." And I was like, "I'm gonna get to be a merman. Like this is fucking great." And they're like, "You're not getting the movie." And I was like, "Oh, okay, all right." But we had like a great conversation for like a couple hours, and then afterwards, I was like, "Hey, well," and he gave me his business card, and I, emailed him. I'm like, "Can you tell me what to do? I don't know what to do." And he just told me, he's like, "Go get headshots from this guy. Do this, do that." Did all those things. And he's like, "You know what? Like, I'll represent you." So, and I'm like, "Great, I'm moving to LA." And he's like, "Nope, you're gonna stay there until you can get a couple credits under your belt." And then like we want to get you your SAG card. Then I'll tell you when it's time to come to LA. And he was great, and I really appreciated that because I just
Mhm.
Chicago's a
Smart.
great place to get set up and
It's a
get
great
like
market to get your
yeah.
foot in the door. Yeah.
Um,
An easier market to get your foot in the door. That's a good business strategy. Stay there, get a
100%.
couple. So at which point did he say, okay, come? Was that his decision or yours to be like, it's time?
He knew I was itching, and then he was after Chicago PD. He was like, "All right." He's like, "I think you can come out," but I had to go to rehab again first. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, my struggle with sobriety is definitely a part of the story that like I do also like talking about because whenever I hear other people talk about it, I'm like, great, like those people in those conversations that like I would see, especially like in this period before I had to get sober again. I'm sober for like almost 3.5 years now. Like those
Congrats.
things really had an impact on me, to see like other
Hmm.
actors talking about it. But yeah, so and he took me on with no credits and then, moved to LA. But it was yeah, it
So
was
how long did you spend that? How much time in rehab before you were then able? Because
two
I think
months.
2 months to be able to get to a serene, calm place.
Yeah, yeah,
To make a
Serene.
huge life.
Yeah,
Look, addiction loves to show up at
it
our
does.
life crisis moments. Like, where
Mm,
else are you going to turn or go? Those are our coping mechanisms. It's interesting,
yeah.
even as an actor, how we look at our characters' coping mechanisms.
Yeah, yeah, completely. And but I came to LA and because I had had 5.5 years of sobriety before that, from 17 to 23, relapsed. I spent like 9 months just going super hard. Did like 5 years worth of partying, and I was like, I gotta go back to rehab before I can go to LA. Like I can't, I'm gonna die. And then got to LA. LA's a tough place, especially when you know no one. And like I didn't have a car, and so I was like just like stuck in the valley and like didn't. I was like, this is terrible. Immediately relapsed.
Mhm.
And then I kind of was getting I was getting by, I'm a very high functioning, addict. And so I was like, I can manage, I can wait tables, I can do all this sort of stuff. But then of course the way like addiction works is there's just progression. And, it progressed until 2022 when I got sober again. And yeah, but yeah, that was a whole thing.
I think it's, again, this is one of those career paths that really makes us confront our control issues
Completely. Yeah.
and also gives us time and space to
Yeah.
explore. So to have a rigid sense of purpose with something we can't control, it's a tornado. And
Yeah.
then coming out here and not know anybody. So what year did you come out here? The first year's the
2017.
hardest, the 2017.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then that within that first year also you are getting the opportunity of a like that people sit in LA 20 years, 30 years before they even
Right.
get that audition. So balancing those things, I love hearing that your manager has been with you through thick and thin of all of it
Yeah.
to
He's
have that
I'm so
support.
grateful for him, and it's easy to like kind of go down this path too of thinking, especially like on my time on Top Gun, I'm like, man, if I had been sober, could I have really captured that experience more? And you can like look at all these things with regret, but it was definitely, I'm a big believer in like things working out the way that they're supposed to. And, at that time, I, I don't know. It ended up being, I think, what it needed to be. And I needed to like continue after that to struggle for a long time to get to a point where like now my sobriety is my own. In the past when I'd gotten sober, it had been for, when you're a teenager, it's hard to just, some people do get sober as teenagers, but like especially if your parents like making you go to rehab, it's hard to like own that.
Mm.
And then, as an adult, when I got sober at 23, I didn't really want it. It felt like I was doing it so I could like move the career along. And then when I've done it now as an adult, when I got sober at 28, I was like, I need to do this. Like I want to do this. Because the thing my mom had always told me, she would always question, she knew that what I was up to. Moms are good about that stuff. And she was like, "What are you willing to give up to make your dreams come true?" And I always knew the answer, and I knew the thing I was hanging on to, and I didn't want to get sober again. But then finally hit a point where I was like, all right, this is it. And I'd rather know that I gave this thing a real shot, because I'm gonna hate myself so much more if I, get to like the end of my life and I'm like, man, I never fucking went for it. I never really did it because I was holding myself back. And then, that's kind of how that path went. But
Well,
yeah,
can we talk about the holding yourself back if you're willing to go into that with having an opportunity like Top Gun to be shot out of a cannon, essentially? Yes,
mm,
you were working towards certain things, but to get that big of an opportunity, I think sometimes actors, we can self-sabotage
oh,
so quickly. And I feel like those things are so married.
yeah.
So if you, because you're being so open, I think it's so invaluable for
Yeah.
anybody to hear. It's like that first day impression. Like, did you go to camp with everybody else, the Air Force camp?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the we call them the top five pilots. That's like Miles Glenn, Monica Barbaro,
Mhm.
JLS, Danny Ramirez, the guys who go on the mission. They had the like really intense stuff and training. Everyone we did some flight school stuff. We like flew Cessnas and smaller planes and whatnot. But so yeah, like we did all that. We had those sort of experiences. But then too, also like I had the least amount of credits of anyone on the show. I was the youngest guy on the cast, and I was like, I show up first day. It's amazing, of course. Like I'm like, this is like it's fucking surreal, but also like crippling imposter syndrome. I'm like, I do not fucking belong here. Someone made a mistake. There's no reason for me to be here. I don't think I'm contributing anything. And like it was a small part. And I think originally, maybe I had like 4 or 5 lines throughout the movie.
Which is sometimes the hardest job to do. I don't care what anybody says. Hardest
Oh,
job to do when it's an ensemble piece, and then you're like, I'm gonna throw in a piece here, but then I'm active in the background of so many scenes.
yeah. Yeah,
It's a tightrope.
it is. And so I'm the whole time I'm trying to like figure out like where I belong in this cast. And luckily everyone was so kind. Tom Cruise is amazing. He's awesome to be around. It's like an infectious energy. But then, I learned something from everyone. And, I one of the nights I don't think I've ever told this story like in full detail because it involves me being like very stoned, but like I needed to be very stoned in order to be like as open as I was. So we had just finished the like football scene and I had cut weights like to such an extreme extent. So I'm like delirious and like we finished the day and we some of the cast went out to eat and then like I've at this point now smoked like 3 joints. I was a big stoner. And so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go back to the hotel. And I'm outside like having a cigarette and Jon Hamm walks out of like the hotel bar and he's like, hey man, he's like, congrats on today. He's like, you guys were great, you killed it. And he's like, do you want to come like have a drink? And I was like, yeah, dude, of course. Like what do you mean? So I go inside with him and like and we're talking and like I'm just like I'm obviously like a little bit gone, but like with that being gone, I finally had sort of the courage to be like, hey, I was like, dude, should I be like trying to like do something different here? Because one of the guys, great, little side note on like sort of what was like making me sort of overthink this stuff was there's a guy, he was about the same age as me. His name's Greg Tarzan Davis, amazing actor. And just he has this like crazy energy, very much like a Tom Cruise energy. And so he showed up and he kind of had the same size role as, me and some of the other pilots, but like he had this curiosity and this excitement and he was always kind of like really fucking going for it. And his part got bigger and he's now like doing like the Mission Impossible movies with Tom. I mean, like, and so I'm like watching him do this, and I'm like, I'm like more of a quiet guy, and I'm like, should I be trying to like be louder and like do things? And John was so kind, and he's like, no, no, no. He's like, I've done movies like this. I did a bunch of movies like this when I was your age. And the number one thing you need to do right now is listen. He's like, when the camera's on you, he's like, you don't have lines. He's like, you need to be the guy who's listening the most. And he's like, just take it all in. It's all going to make sense later, but like, just absorb the experience right now. He's like, if you try to do something that isn't you, it's going to be inauthentic. It's going to like, it's not going to read. And that is something that stuck with me for so long. So the combination of that and then also seeing what Tarzan was doing, which was like, when you show up on set, it's okay to be like, hey, what is this? People love when you're excited, like talking to like the camera guys and be like, I don't know what this lens does. Can you explain it to me? Like people love that. And I truly believe that that is rewarded in this industry because people want to be around that. How many times do you hear where like casting directors will be like, I don't want to hire him. He's a pain in the ass to be on set with, like 18-hour days. No one wants to fucking work with him. Having that excitement and wanting to play is I think huge.
Well, and wanting to interact with everybody who's part of the storytelling. Yeah. I always say your favorite person, there's 2 favorite people that you should have on set. The director's too busy to really pay attention to you, especially as a day player role, even a guest star, a reoccurring guest star. It's the DP and the editor. And not enough people turn their focus to talking to the person that's 2 feet behind, so that you can have, but that takes time, I think, being on set or time of watching somebody else do it, being like, it's about permission. I think a lot of actors, and so I was so curious if you were the actor that was more just taking up, and then I'm going to make this happen. Or I love hearing that you're challenged with the authenticity of, should I be doing something else? Versus I got hired for this, stay in this lane. That's why I think these roles are also the most challenging. When you sit back a little bit and you're watching everybody else have interactions, moments that you're like, should I try a little bit? Where do I fit here? It's
Yeah.
the hardest job to do. And to have that be your first one and be shot out of a cannon,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
shot out of a cannon.
Yeah.
So other than, so you work, you get a lot of insight from a lot of people. I'm sure you learned an insane amount.
Crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
Before we get to the business part of this movie coming out,
Hmm.
since it sat on the shelf for so long, what did you do? Because was your manager able to open a bunch of doors with that, just having that being a dangling carrot?
For sure. It worked in my favor that it didn't come out, because if it came out, then like people might be like, well, like we didn't like see him. Because like I'm like mostly hanging in the background. Like I was on set for like 9
Strategy.
months,
Yep.
but like there's not a lot of actual like footage to show for it. And so the fact that it didn't come out, we were able to be like, he's in Top Gun. You want to meet this guy. So I had like 3 years of getting to go into like new casting offices, develop those relationships, people that are like, seeing me like more and more. And it's a thing that I hated so much when I first moved to LA, and people are like, it's about who you know, it's about relationships. And I'm like, well, how the fuck do I make these relationships? I don't know. And I think for the
Mhm.
vast majority of people, unless you do just like strike gold right away, it just takes time. And that's so frustrating to, have to like sort of accept. But, it was a lot of auditions that don't feel like they're going anywhere. But if you do a good audition, even if you don't get a call back, the casting director's like, we like him. And like that for Ransom Canyon, I have auditioned for
How
Lindsay
many
and
times?
David.
How many
Fuck,
times
I
for
don't
Lindsay and
know.
David?
For like 10,000 times for 10 years, and they did not hire me once. I didn't get a co-star. I didn't get like anything from them. And like I loved them to death, and they would like give me advice. They'd actually let me be their reader
I
for a
was
lot of years.
David's reader. That was my first
Really?
reading job. Yeah, I've known David for a long, 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 long time.
Oh,
But
the best.
were you able to do that prior to COVID, or were you being a reader for them post? How were it was prior?
Prior to COVID, and then I mean, but like I just went in because I was talking to them recently, like a couple months ago, and I went in. They were like, "Would you come be a reader? Like we're doing chem reads, and like and I'm like, and then there's a part of me that I was like I was like, well, I'm a series reg, now. And then I'm like, dude, what am I talking about? Like it's such a good thing. Number one, I feel great getting to do it for another actor, because like how many times have you gone in and like it's not whoever's reading's fault. It's usually like someone like some casting assistant's just like, okay, like here you have to read, and so like it's maybe their first time reading it, and you're like, oh shit, like they're not like helping me out here in any way. So like if I can go and I can really give you something to play with and work off of, that just makes me happy. But then it's such a valuable lesson to see the different styles, like to see 10, 15 people come in a row, and then also see what casting responds to. Because it's almost never who I was thinking. Like I would see someone give like an
Right?
incredible performance, and I'm like, that's fucking gotta be them. And they walk out and casting's like, it's just not right. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I remember there was one that stuck with me so much, because like this girl came in and she was like clearly like just like frazzled. She was having a day, and she's like, I'm sorry, guys. And like didn't know her lines. She's like, okay, what? But she had this like relaxed energy, and she was just doing this. She's comfortable. And she like did it, and she's like, all right, gotta go. Left. And casting, like they're like, hey, send someone out after her, stop her in the parking lot, we just want to see her do it again, tell her like wait like 20 minutes. And then like they did it again, and she got it. And I was like, that's fucking wild. And that goes to the point that you had said, which is like, when it's your part, it's your part. And I think part of that as well is like she was like experienced, and she had that energy of like, I show up, I give my performance, and then I'm confident to like walk out and be like, hey, there's nothing else I can do. And it's such a difficult pill to swallow when you haven't like worked yet. So you got to fake it till you make it in that sense. But also it's tough to not have that desperation. Everyone's like, don't be desperate. It's really hard not to be desperate when you have to go fucking wait tables at a job you hate, and you hate your boss. And then it's like after you wait tables, you're gonna go check IDs at the bar. And you're like, dude, I'm like barely getting by. And like it's so hard not to be like desperate where you're like, please give me this.
Or just be in the people pleasing where it's like you're calling me in, I'm going to perform, and then you're going to leave. You're judging me. We as people want to be judged in good favor versus
Yeah.
thinking about the character or anything. I think that's so invaluable. I'm going to jump into when you just went back in posts with chemistry reads. Were they doing
Yeah.
the chemistry reads in person or were you reading on
In
Zoom?
person. Yeah.
Was the story that you just shared from the chemistry read or was it prior you
This
getting
was,
Ransom?
no, this one was like way back before
Yeah,
COVID.
when we used to do it
Yeah.
in person. The
Yeah.
chemistry reads with people
Mhm.
coming in after we've been behind the computer for a long.
Yeah.
What did you learn after being a series regular and then having pretty much probably series regular caliber actresses coming in to do this chemistry read?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
did you
No,
notice
because
difference this time?
it was very different. And it was, I was, oddly enough, like I was more nervous going in to be a reader than I was
Yes.
like for like my own recent auditions. Because now after booking more jobs, I'm kind of have found that comfortability and I'm able to let it go and be like, I did my thing and like, hey, great. If you like it, it's for me. If not, great. Like whatever. But I was like, I'm fucking nervous for them. And I'm nervous, like, I don't want to like fuck their thing up. And so like I feel like more of a responsibility there. But it was fascinating to see it again being on the other side of the camera because
Is this for their pilot that they were just recently shooting or
yes.
casting this
Yeah.
last few months?
Yeah,
It's a
yeah, yeah.
great
It's
pilot.
really good, really, really good.
So then I know some, I won't put them on mic. So I know some of the people that came in for these chemistry reads. You don't
Yeah.
have to, but I do think it's so invaluable to hear what you notice that's different. Because look, when it's a chemistry read, I tell everybody, if you're at the chemistry read point, everybody's good. So you're not going to
Mhm.
discover that anybody's
Yeah.
good or not good. But I do think that there's interesting dynamics that we get to see when we're the person that's not in the pressurized seat,
Right.
how they're handling the chemistry read
Yeah.
that you thought might be invaluable for people to listen and hear, especially because it's
Yeah.
been a while since we've gone back in.
Totally. And well, so I think we've kind of gone over it, but I mean, what you just said was exactly true. I mean, everyone at the chemistry read level is delivering an amazing performance set where they could totally be the one. And so to just see the different styles, the thing that it reminds me to do is don't try and do what like I think they're looking for or what I think that like what I think they think the characters, it's like you get your script, you get the time to work on it, especially if you're at a chemistry read point. You've now been looking at it probably for a little bit of time, like at least a few weeks, and trust your instincts on it. Because if you go in for a chemistry read and it's not quite right, they're going to be like, hey, can you make an adjustment? And also, at that point, you've shown that you can make an adjustment and just do your thing and then let it go, which again is like, it sounds like an actor cliche because you hear it all the time. But once you do kind of feel that and see other people do it, I mean, anytime I've talked to like an actor who's like breaking it, I'm like, dude, see if you can be a reader somewhere. Because it is the most important thing that happened to me as a young actor. It's insane the difference that it makes. Even over Zoom, I mean, it's not as good, I think, but I mean, still, it's crazy. So trusting your instincts, if deliver the performance that you believe that it's going to be because it's either for you or it's not.
Or it's not.
Yeah.
The TV and film landscape, it's constantly changing, but traditional actor training has largely remained the same.
It's focused on a theater model whose main goal is to help you stretch the expression of your instrument. That's why you can have years of training,
From scene study classes to audition classes.
to even an MFA, and still not be able to book a two-line co-star.
That's why we created the Bridge for Actors.
A collection of tech, craft, and business online courses to teach you the skills that you need to go from a student of acting
To a working actor.
Well, then let's get to Ransom. Because once you get the script, it's coming from David and Lindsay, like you said, you've been in there a gazillion times.
Yeah.
I want to hear this whole audition story.
This was the most excruciating audition of my life. Like I still think about it and like it like stresses me out and I hope to never have to go through an audition process like this again. So I got the audition. I remember on my birthday, June 8th, 2022, I believe, or 2023. So do an audition, don't hear anything back. Like 3 weeks go by, then I hear like retape. So I send a retape, then I get a call back.
Did they give you notes for the
They gave me
retape?
some notes for the retape, did that, then I get a call back, and then I then get a director's session, and then they're like, hey, chemistry reads. And we're now into July, and so like it's now been like 2 months where this is like sort of going on, getting to like late July, do the chemistry read.
And
And
is your chemistry read because of the timing? Is it in person? Or are you,
no, it's
oh,
over
it's,
Zoom. And I had moved back to Chicago at this point. I had been in Chicago for like a year. I had been going through a breakup and I was just like, all right, I'm gonna like I got like a year sober. I'm gonna just sort of like do this. So I'm back checking IDs, living with my mother. I'm 30 years old and I'm like, fuck, dude. I'm like, this sucks. So then there's also the added pressure of like this could be the out, but like I'm like I know at this point to like sort of try and let it go. And I had just had like a crushing one where I was like about to go test for a show, and I was like, this is the fucking ticket out, man. Like I'm so ready. Didn't get it, and then I had to wait like another year for Ransom. But I go into the chemistry reads over Zoom, and same sort of thing as like when I left Top Gun. I'm like, I fucking got it, dude. I know I got this, and so I'm like, I feel really good that day. SAG strike happens the next day. And so the casting can't do anything. There can't even be conversations about stuff. And so I'm like, okay, I guess I'll chill and wait. Um, it goes until November.
mhm.
And at this point now I'm dying because I've been living in my mom's. I don't have any money. I just this is another stupid young actor mistake. Don't do this. When that Top Gun finally came out, I finally got some residuals for it. And I was like, fuck yeah, dude. But I was in like a really dark place. So I spent it all on a very expensive motorcycle. And
Oh no! Every
yeah,
actor's first thing. You know, we always have one. We have the
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Yep. Hmm. You
Um,
still have the motorcycle?
I do, but I'm gonna sell it because I went on this like 1 month cross country like soul searching motorcycle trip while I was waiting to hear about Ransom. I was like, I just got to do this thing. And then after I did it, I was like, that was so stupid. I really need to like get off this thing. I've crashed two other motorcycles in my life. Like it's so I need to not be on a motorcycle. But yeah, so that's all going on. I'm just kind of waiting. November comes and the strike's like about to end. And so I'm talking to my manager and he's like, hey, like maybe like he's like, I've had time. This is the first time I've also had this much time to like think about a character, read all the books, did all these sorts of things. And so he's like, I can get a letter to casting and maybe they send it to the showrunner. So I wrote a letter to April Blair, my showrunner, and I'm like, hey, I just wanted to say, like, I know that like I think I'm probably still in the mix here, but like I've never had this much time to think about something and like how passionate I am about this project, and and it's the pilot was beautiful, and I just hope that if things work out, maybe we can like talk or whatever. And she called me that night. And I was like, oh, fuck. Okay, great. And she's like talking to me and she's like, yeah, look, you kind of got fucked over here because like you were about to get approved by Netflix, but then things got mixed up with casting and who you read with is no longer doing the show. And so, yeah, we kind of got to go back and do the auditions again. And I'm like, oh, fuck, okay. I'm like, all right, yeah, that's fine. So I moved back to Chicago. I'd been living in sleeping on a mattress in a friend's house in Venice, and I was like again solo. So I go back to Chicago. Then I get a call and they're like, hey, congratulations, you like you're not approved by Netflix, but we're not reading anyone else for Yancy. And I'm like,
What
okay.
does
So
that mean?
I was like, I got it, but I don't. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, well, then don't say congratulations yet, man. Like you're gonna give me a heart attack. And so they're like, can you fly back to LA? And I'm like, oh fuck yeah. Okay, all right. So I fly back to LA. We do more chem reads, and David and Lindsay are casting. And I remember like David was like, he's like, you seem nervous. I'm like, yeah, dude, I don't have the job. What do you mean I seem to, of course. And we do like a few rounds over a couple days. And then finally, I remember, I mean, it's now been 6 months because I think it was exactly 6 months. It was early December that I got the call. And I'm like in a hotel room in by LAX, and like I'm exhausted and sad and stressed out. And April calls me and she's like, hey, like congratulations. And I'm like, let me stop you. Or you say congratulations again, because I've gotten three of these calls. I was like, Netflix is approved. This is the call that I can breathe, that it's like done. And she's like, you can breathe. It's done. You're approved. And so that was just one of those, that to me, more than anything that I've experienced, was kind of that like Hollywood moment, like dreams can come true sort of a thing. And
Yes.
yeah, just.
And the lineage of that, I love that your manager said you've spent this much time. Were you still working on, because look, it was the strike. We had nothing to do. So for shits and giggles, like you said, you were diving deeper. So were you going deeper? When you went back in and were doing the chemistry read, was the character different for you?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I still was sort of sticking with what I think after I'd done the initial chemistry reads, I'm like, clearly they liked that. So like, I'm not gonna try anything new here really, but if you get to think about a character for so long, you start like building backstories and you start like imagining these scenarios, which really do add to the life that you bring to a performance. But there was still just like this tension. And it was also my first time being in person, doing an in-person
That's
audition since, I mean, like I can't even remember
2019.
when. Yeah, it was, so like there
That's a
was
long
also
time.
sort of a shock of, not just sort of being alone in my like tape room doing my thing. But yeah, it was.
And you got all that time. This is what I always talk about too. It's like, think about the Oscar winners, right? They get 6 months, 6 years
Yeah.
to think about a character, to marinate on a character. How did that serve you in the shooting of all of this?
I think it was invaluable because like what you talked about, when you have to go do like a guest star or a co-star, that's usually like hey, you get the call, it's like be in Vancouver, like we're sending you there in 2 days, and you're like, okay, well now I have to like come up
Get
with
my
this
life together.
thing. Yeah, get my life together and like come up with this whole thing, and that's always exciting. But this was the first time that I was like, great, like I've really gotten to sit with this, and I remember being really nervous first day of shooting, and I think I always will be. It's like butterflies,
Yeah,
it's not
first
something
day
you never.
impressions, first day camp.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was definitely a little bit tense, but I remember like after a couple takes, I'm like, I fucking got this guy. Like I know what I'm doing here. And I had also spent an insane amount of time. The past few years, I've been like super heavy into class. I go to Ivana Chubbuck's class, and
Okay.
whenever I book something, I work with her. Like we do probably like 2 hour script breakdowns, and especially for Ransom, I'm like, this is my first series reg. I'm not gonna fuck it up. I'm like, I'll pay you whatever you want, but like you gotta do like a deep dive with me. And it's changed my approach, and I think my abilities significantly so. So I mean, I always encourage people. I'm like, dude, you got to go to class. Like, you got to fall on your face in class. So then when you get on set, like you're comfortable. You're like you just have to stretch. For me, what it is I was always kind of nervous of looking stupid, and when you go to class, you can look stupid, and you're supposed to look stupid, and then in that process, you see how far you can take it, and you're always discovering you're like, fuck, that's really good. I didn't think I could do that, and I totally can do that. And it's the most important thing.
It's liberating, I think,
Yeah.
what's permissible. Because I ask everybody, when you do break down a script now, having both experiences of being on Top Gun and being like, do I need to give more? What do I sit? What do I do here? To then Ransom County and having a lot of responsibility, having the confidence, working with Ivana. When you get an audition now, other than reading the script, because now you're out for sale again, unless you've gotten something. How do you approach your auditions now after years of different technique and years of different studying?
Yeah. So Ivana's system and her process makes a lot of sense for me. And I know, it's not one size fits all. Everyone's got their own techniques.
Everybody does, exactly.
But it's, starts with finding like what is my character's overall objective and then looking at that. And then each scene, I'm like, all right, what is my scene objective? And does my scene objective serve my overall? And after that, there's like small little points that I break down and little like notes I'll make about just like trigger words here and there, and you're endowing certain things with like memories and whatnot. But yeah, I do that. Also, one of the things that I recommend to a lot of people that is like has been a game changer for me. I cut out my lines in a really and especially if you're doing it over Zoom or you're doing a tape, you can have your lines right there. And and the thing that I found too is that after I've done that a few times and I'm reading like my lines, then I don't need to read them anymore. But like I have them there also too, like where it allows me to really listen. And because then I don't have to be like searching. I'm like, fuck, what am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to say here? And then I know that it's right there and I can grab it if I need to. But I saw a picture of like Marlon Brando on The Godfather, like reading lines off of Pacino's chest, and I was like, he won the fucking Oscar. I was like, am I better than that? I was like, who fucking cares? So
Doesn't matter. It's
it doesn't
assistance. I think it helps calm the nerves if you know you can just go over there and pick it up and come back up. Like,
and when you get a 14-page audition and like they're like, we need this tomorrow.
yes, Spielberg needs it tomorrow. We had somebody
Yeah.
fall out, and if this is the
Yeah.
only opportunity you get, you're gonna throw it down.
And also, didn't they wasn't that one of the things that they like negotiated
Yes.
on where they were like,
We're supposed to have 48 hours, but now if they just put it in really big capital letters that it's same day appointment or next day appointment, I don't know how that's excusable, but it is because they have to cast it really fast.
Yeah. And also, I think one of the things that I've noticed on all of them that I'm like, oh, this was their little loophole too, is they just put like, you don't need to memorize. And
You
I'm like,
don't. You
yeah,
might
I'm
not
like,
be good, but like,
really? Like, okay, yeah, sure. Like, no, you still need to, which is why I'm always like, dude, fucking just cut out your lines, tape them up, and then like if you need them. So that's one of my little like tricks
I
that I
love
do.
this tips and tricks. Okay, so then I'm going to do some rapid fire. I want to hear some tips and tricks if you're willing to do that. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite role that you didn't get? Favorite
Oh,
audition, I should say audition. Favorite audition that you didn't get?
ironically, it was for another bull rider for Outer Range. This guy named Rhett, who Lewis Pullman plays him. He was from Top Gun. And I remember when I saw that Lewis got it, I was like, fucking Lewis, dude, Lewis is the man. So like he's gonna do way better than I could have done. And I wasn't ready for that role. But then like when I got Yancy, it felt like sort of it all comes around sort of thing.
I always love to borrow my homework from audition to audition too, where it's like I get so far down the road for this audition or this character. And then within 2 months, you're like, oh, same over here,
Yeah,
different story,
exactly.
different name. And so that I don't think that time, if you put it in, ever goes away. I think it
No,
helps.
it all adds up.
How ironic, right?
Yeah,
That then
yeah.
you get to turn it around. Okay. Funniest way you've gotten a job. Although we kind of talked about some of them, you've got a few other ones.
Yeah, funniest way I've got a job. I mean, I think the whole journey for the Ransom audition probably or Ransom job was it. Other one,
I think that's the most ridiculous
it's the
way,
most
really,
ridiculous. It was
truly.
just like painful. Yeah. So yeah, yeah.
Okay. Best on set prank or game? I'm curious about that, Top Gun. If there was any fun. 9 months of shooting. It's a long time to be together and not have any.
The I on Top Gun, I remember I started doing it with Jake Picking and and a couple of the other guys were like, it was just like scaring each other. So like you'd like hide in their trailer or whatever. Cause like, yeah, a lot of time. So I always enjoy doing that. I want to be, I'm always more careful about doing that stuff now. Cause like you never know what someone's going to be like thinking or doing when they walk in their trailer. So like make sure it's like a good pal when you're like going to like try and scare them. I think so. Otherwise, God, I'm sorry. I can't think of anything right now. And
That's fine.
When we're done, it's going to come to me. I'm like,
Of
fuck.
course. Text me later. Text me later.
Yeah.
Okay. Best rap gift that you've given or received.
Ooh, best rap gift. I think the best rap gift that I've given was, so I call them the kids on Ransom Canyon. Garrett wearing Drew Liner and Lizzie Green, and they do the high school storyline. And like they're total nerds and they love Pokemon. Like they're the sweetest kids in the world. And so like when I'd hang out with them, I like you'd expect that like these like young early 20s like Hollywood kids might be like partying a little bit or whatever. Like I would go over and they're like playing like Pokemon cards and like looking at them like you guys are sweet. So I made them custom like Pokemon cards with their characters in the show, and they turn out really great. So I think that was the best one I've given anyone. The best one I've gotten, I have Top Gun, we got some aviators I really loved. Ransom, we got these really great like Carhartt Ransom bags, and then the kids then gave me a Pokemon card of my
Come on, that's
so
the one.
I guess that's the one. Yeah.
Okay, when you get an audition, who do you call first?
My other acting coach, Ann Noble, who I was with before Ivana, and I do every single self-tape with her. So she's immediately, I'm like, when's your availability? And then that's the move. Yeah.
How do you celebrate? I mean, we
Sushi.
kind of heard a little bit. Sushi?
Sushi.
So after
Yeah.
Top Gun and after Ransom Canyon, that both of those
I was
were
eating a lot worse when I was doing Top Gun, so I think I ate Domino's after Top Gun. But now my palate's more refined, so it's always either like sugarfish or I've recently had catch in LA, and my God, that's my new favorite.
changes things.
Game
Okay,
changer. Yeah.
two more. I like this one. How do you recover? Like when you don't get the job or when you've been on set for 9 months
Yeah.
or, you know, you go down the long road. You've shared a few stories where you got super close. I think sometimes for actors, it's hard for us to let go.
Yeah. I think getting outside and maybe like going on a hike, doing something like that, getting to nature a little bit, sort of reminds me that like, hey, like there's more going on than this thing. I'll probably like let myself have like a piece of pie, or I'll eat like a whole pie. And then yeah, that's kind of because I got a sweet tooth, so it's like work out, go on a hike, have some pie. That's my recipe.
Chef's kiss. Okay, final one, because we don't know what's going to happen for the show. And currently, right now, you know, you're out there. What's the one role that's on television or film right now that you wish you could steal? So kind of help us see what's coming next.
On television right now
Or film.
or film. God, I mean, fucking Batman. How cool would it be?
Perfect.
But also Pattinson, he's so good, man. Like he's so good that like it's one of those things where you're just like, I want to see him do it.
Of course.
But yeah, that would be like a dream sort of thing, or a Jedi at some point. Always sort of dreamed about having those robes and a lightsaber. So yeah.
I love that. I mean, a lot of people have said things on here and then it happens. So
Yeah.
just saying.
Yeah. Jedi, Batman, or vampires. That's what I want.
Or vampires. We got to throw that in there. We got to throw that in there for sure. Where can everybody find you? Follow along, watch the show.
Yeah, well, Ransom comes out on Netflix April 17th. I'm on Instagram, and then other than that, you know, I just kind of stay off of all those things.
I know. What are you on Instagram?
Schumacher_Jack. Yeah.
There you go. Thank you for doing this. I'm excited for the show to come out. I love when Netflix is like Yellowstone meets Virgin River. They're like, AKA the #1 show. Are you going to bump Virgin River off? That will be the question.
That will be the question.
That'll be the toss up.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Thank
letting
you
me
so much.
dig
I really
in.
appreciate this. Was so much fun and great to talk about. So yeah, love it.
I mean,